Ghana feels like Jamaica. Ghana even smells like Jamaica.
Have you ever walked into a place thousands of miles away and feel like you've been there before? Like the people, the smell, the energy, it's all familiar? Well, that's exactly how Jamaicans describe Ghana. Some even say Ghana doesn't just feel like Jamaica, it smells like it. And no, they're not joking. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy and this is Trending Pulse Worldwide, where we explore powerful connections, untold stories and culture from the diaspora and beyond. And today's video is going to blow your mind. We are talking about the real and surprising connection between Ghana and Jamaica, from food and music to DNA and daily vibes. The link is way deeper than most people know. So grab a drink, relax, and let's dive into this beautiful story that crosses oceans and generations.
Ghana feels like Jamaica. Ghana even smells like Jamaica. Even some of your language is similar to Jamaica. So, the way some of the villages talk, I don't know what you call it. We call it patois, but you guys speak and you say, adekam. And, that kind of, it's similar to patois.
Pidgin.
Yeah, pidgin, there you go. So pidgin and patois, very similar. And, even some of the tree language, like there are people in Jamaica that still use certain words. So some of the foods are the same.
If best friends could be defined by countries, then Ghana and Jamaica would be the combo. The synergy between Ghanaians and Jamaicans must be spiritual, because I don't understand how we get along so well and so naturally. Ghanaians and Jamaicans get along so well, in my opinion, because even though we're quite different, when together we just make a perfect combo. A bit like jerk and then chicken, no pun intended. I think both Ghanaians and Jamaicans just operate on vibes. So far as we've got good health and life, anything is possible. People of both countries are also weirdly secretive. Ghanaians don't tell people when they're traveling, and only a Jamaican man wear a mask to collect his lottery winnings, and I don't blame him. Despite our similarities, we do have our differences. I think Ghanaians are far more relaxed, whereas Jamaicans are more confrontational, but it's a good balance. A friendship match made in heaven. Jamaicans are like the loud, boisterous friends that do all the talking, and Ghanaians are the best friend that don't say much but are equally about the smoke and are always laughing. What a combo.
Going to Ghana for the first time, I understand, was also another milestone, because many people might not know, but the flag that we fly with the red, green and gold, it is the flag of Ghana. Yeah. Many people say, yeah, it's Rasta. Yeah. People say, hey, it's a Rasta flag. No, it's an African flag. Yeah. You understand? Marcus Garvey is the person who let Kwame and Nkrumah put the black star in the center of the flag to represent us. You understand? And that's why we fly that flag. So even the flag that we fly, you understand, it's from Ghana. Yeah. And we see Ghana as the rainbow circle throne. Like our Christian or a Roman Catholic would say, okay, going to Vatican is a big thing for them, going to Jerusalem. Yeah. It's like, you understand, so for I and I as a Bobo Shanti Rastafarian, going to Ghana was a milestone.
Strangely, since I was a child, I always chose Ghana. First things first, nobody thought I was Jamaican. Everyone thought I was Ghanaian. So from the moment I came to Ghana, everybody just welcomed me. I knew long term as well, Ghana is what was prepared for me, because I can look at a 30-year plan. I want to have claims on this land. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't mind having a Nigerian passport. I don't mind having a Togolese passport. I don't mind having a Sierra Leone passport. I just want to have citizenship on this side of the world. So once I got the paper that says you are officially a citizen, I sent it to all of my family. I showed them that, hey, I'm not a citizen. Everything is fine.
Incredible, right? What you just saw wasn't scripted. Those are real people genuinely expressing how deep the connection is between Ghana and Jamaica. And that first man wasn't alone. Tons of Jamaicans who visited Ghana say the same thing. The air, the food, the spirit of the people, everything reminds them of home. Then you hear someone praising both countries, and it's not just about good vibes. It's about recognition, and Jamaicans see themselves in Ghanaians and vice versa. And that last brother, he didn't just vibe with Ghana, he became Ghanaian. His story represents something bigger. And it's not just tourism, it's a spiritual return, it's homecoming. So you might ask, why is this bond so strong? Why are so many Jamaicans drawn to Ghana like a magnet? So for starters, the hospitality. Ghana is known for its warmth, and so is Jamaica. So when you mix those two energies, it feels like family meeting family. And then there's also the culture, music, food, language, and all of it echoes across the ocean. And when a Jamaican walks through Makola Market in Accra, hears high life on the radio, or eats some jollof and fried plantain, it feels right. It feels like home. But then it's deeper than good vibes. This connection is rooted in real history. And during the transatlantic slave trade, thousands of enslaved Africans were taken from what we now know as Ghana, mainly the Ashanti and Akan areas, and brought to the Caribbean. And many of those people ended up in Jamaica. And that's why so many Jamaican traditions today, from maroon spirituality to music to food, can be traced directly back to Ghanaian culture. The Cromanti language, that's Akan influence. Aki, Jamaican's national fruit, it came from Ghana. Even names, phrases, and spiritual practices all carry the fingerprints of Ghana. So when many people say Ghana feels like Jamaica, it's not a coincidence. It's a memory in their DNA.
So I've been recently seeing a lot of videos on this whole Ghana-Jamaican relationship. I just want to touch on it quickly because I feel like a lot of it's coming from a pure place. However, the way we are talking about the history and the relationship is a bit skewed. There is a relationship, or there is the impact of peoples that are from what is now called Ghana to Jamaica, right? However, they are not the dominant group in Jamaica. In fact, there is no dominant group. People need to remember that there is no dominant people in terms of ethnically in the Jamaicans in the period of enslavement during Jamaica. In Jamaica, sorry. To understand this, we need to understand this. When it comes to Jamaican history and culture, we must get away from looking at our history through a colonial lens. What I mean by that is we should never be saying that Jamaicans come from Ghana or Jamaicans come from Nigeria, because there was no Nigeria, there was no Ghana when our ancestors were being taken from there. Is it? And these things are modern constructs. These things are modern products of colonialism. You see it? So that's where that's.
Now, what that man just said might challenge a lot of what we've had, but it's a very necessary perspective, and it's grounded in historical truth. Because when you talk about Jamaican ancestry and try to trace it back to Ghana or Nigeria, we have to remember those countries didn't exist during the time of the transatlantic slave trade. There was no Ghana, there was no Nigeria, so that guy is very accurate. And those are colonial constructs, names and borders drawn by Europeans in the 19th and 20th centuries. So saying Jamaicans are from Ghana or Jamaicans are Nigerian is technically inaccurate if you're trying to speak historically. And what we should be doing, and what that brother is calling for, is to shift the conversation towards pre-colonial ethnic groups and kingdoms, because that's where the truth lies. And people came from places like the Ashanti Empire, the Oyo Empire, the Kingdom of Dahomey, the Congo Kingdom, the Benin Kingdom. They were Akan, Yoruba, Igbo, Iu, Ga, Fante, and many others. These were not just tribes. They were complex societies with deep languages, traditions, belief systems, and governance. And that's who the ancestors of Jamaicans were. Not people from a place called Nigeria, but people from Yoruba land. Not people from Ghana, but people from Akan State and Ashanti territories. And that shift in mindset is powerful, because it frees us from viewing our identity through the lens of colonial geography. It roots us in legacy, not labels. Now, that being said, there's still a reason people feel a strong connection to Ghana and even Nigeria and certain parts of Africa today. And that connection is not imagined. It is supported by both historical records and genetic evidence. In fact, DNA testing and shipping records show that a large portion of enslaved Africans brought to Jamaica did come from what we now call the Gold Coast, which is present-day Ghana. And research suggests that over 60% of enslaved ethnic people in Jamaica during certain periods were Akan-speaking people, Ashanti and Fante among them. And that's a major reason why Maroon communities in Jamaica preserved Akan names, drum patterns, rituals, and even languages. And there are direct cultural links. You see it in the Cromanti language, you see it in the spiritual ceremonies, you hear it in the drumming. Even their food speaks to this. The ackee fruit Jamaicans eat today was brought from Ghana, where it's still known as ackee. But this doesn't mean all Jamaicans are Akan. Not even close. Many Jamaicans also descend from Yoruba, Igbo, and other Nigerian ethnicities, especially in later waves of the slave trade when British ships sourced enslaved people from the Beat of Benin and Bight of Biafra. And then there's Central Africa ancestry as well, including Congo people who left a powerful legacy in Jamaican spirituality, healing, and resistant culture. So what this tells us is Jamaica is not a one-source culture. It's not just Ghanaian or just Nigerian. Jamaica is a mosaic of African survival, built from multiple ethnic groups, blended through centuries of shared suffering, resistance, and brilliance. And that's why, while it's important to avoid oversimplification, it's also okay to feel connected to Ghana, Nigeria, Congo, and beyond, because all of those places represent part of the ancestral map. And people aren't saying Ghana feels like Jamaica for no reason. They are saying it because the music feels familiar, the food hits the same way, the people look like cousins. The rhythm of the culture speaks to a deep inherited memory. And while it might not be historically perfect to say Jamaicans are Ghanaians, it's spiritually honest to say that part of Jamaica lives in Ghana and part of Ghana lives in Jamaica. The same can be said for Nigeria and other parts of Africa too. And this is the beauty of the diaspora. It's not neat, it's not simple, but it's rich, layered, and powerful. So yes, let's teach people to speak terms of ethnic groups, not colonial countries. Let's learn the names Ashanti, Ewe, Yoruba, Igbo, Congo. Let's honor where our people really came from before their histories were renamed and rewritten. But at the same time, let's allow space for Jamaicans, Ghanaians, Nigerians, and everyone in the Black diaspora to reconnect, celebrate the similarities, and embrace the common energy that survived the slave ship. Because at the end of the day, identity is not just about exact labels, it's about the truth, the connection, and healing. And if a Jamaican finds peace walking across Accra, or a Nigerian feels at home hearing dancehall in Kingston, that's not confusion, that's ancestral recognition. And it's a reminder that despite the ocean and the trauma, we were never fully disconnected. We just got scattered, but we are still one people. And now, more than ever, we are beginning to find each other again. Not as Ghanaians or Jamaicans or Nigerians, but as descendants of mighty people who lived before borders and who refused to be erased. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. And if